I am very pro-player. I get a lot of hate on social media because I've moved in my career. I'm always supportive of the player, and the Harrison Barnes things is why I'm supportive of players. But Kevin Durant is upset with the speculation business. That's part of being a superstar, is it not, Chris?
It is. First, Colin, I would hope that you, like I, embrace the mute button as much as I do. It's the greatest thing Twitter ever invented.
Yeah.
Look, you kind of touched on it. Kevin Durant could easily quell all this a couple of different ways. One, signing a long-term contract. I have no problem with how he's conducted his business. It's given him a lot of leverage. It's granted him a lot of power. But the fallout from that is that you get questions like this every single year. And those questions are compounded by incidents like they had early in the season involving Draymond Green. He also could have handled it differently by not avoiding the media after the Porzingis trade. Because if you're avoiding the media after the Porzingis trade, that's all anybody's going to try to connect it to, even if it doesn't have anything to do with it. So Kevin easily could have come out and said, look, guys, I'm trying to win here. I don't want to talk about free agency. And after a question or two, that probably would have ended it. Instead, it snowballed, and we got what we saw last night.
I'll say this. I think it would be the biggest mistake in free agent history if we left the Warriors for the Knicks. And that's nothing against the Knicks. But you're talking about Steve Kerr and Steph Curry insulate Kevin. I mean, it's literally a perfect organization. It's Silicon Valley. They're stars out of basketball. Steve Kerr insulates you. He's media friendly. Steph's the world's greatest superstar teammate. Boy, if they lose a game with Kevin Durant in New York, the avalanche is completely on him. I think it would be a disaster. Do you think he goes to New York? Do you buy that?
I think there's a realistic possibility. Wow. I think everything can be turned on its head in the offseason, but I also don't believe that the Knicks didn't make this Porzingis deal without a belief, whether it's a head nod from somebody in Durant's camp or something else, that Durant was at least going to strongly consider them. The narrative the Knicks spun out there about Porzingis not buying in and wanting out, I'm not buying that at all. What we don't know, Colin, is what does Kevin Durant want out of the next 5 years of his life? Does he want to run his own Southern California big market team? In that case, the Clippers matter. Does he want to grow his brand? Look, in the last couple of years, if you've noticed, Kevin Durant has started to dabble in some outside interest. Does he believe the marketing power of living in New York and playing for the Knicks is valuable? Or does he see more value in chasing, that 6th championship ring threshold, which he could conceivably, catch up to in the next few years with Golden State? So the great unknown is where does Kevin Durant rank his priorities as he goes into the offseason?
Let's shift to Anthony Davis. We'll start with this. You don't think the deal's going to happen now, right?
I do not, no.
Okay. Do you believe Anthony Davis is a Laker at season's end?
I do not. I'm still of the belief. And look, we've seen Anthony Davis go from, I only want to go to the Knicks, I'm putting the Bucks on the list. I read a report earlier yesterday that he's not going to sign an extension with anybody or agree to come to an extension with anybody until 2020. It sure sounds like there are a lot of games being played. Now, if it comes to fruition that Anthony Davis is still a Pelican, that's when the Boston Celtics have to get to work. That's when they have to really start selling Anthony Davis through back channels, through his representatives on being in Boston long term. Look, Colin, one thing Anthony Davis has said, first through Rich Paul, his representative, and then at that media gaggle after, he wants to win. And Danny Ainge said this recently in a radio interview. He said, our way of selling star players is to showing them a path to success. And the Celtics, I don't think anyone can argue, if they make a deal for you, they're probably going to represent your best chance to win championships over the next few years. Also, I don't believe Boston's going to get outbid. It may be Jason Tatum, it may be something else, but for the last 18 months, Anthony Davis has consumed that front office. I don't believe that when we get to July, the Celtics will be outbid for Anthony Davis.
So Paul George passed on LeBron. Kawhi reportedly not interested. Anthony Davis, in your opinion, goes elsewhere. Is the lots of guys don't want to play with LeBron narrative, which I initially rolled my eyes at, is there some truth in it? That he is not now in his year 16, he is not the be-all, end-all to success in this league?
I don't think that you can put all those guys into one basket. I mean, Paul George passed in large part because of the connection he made with Russell Westbrook and the comfort level he felt in Oklahoma City. If he had stayed in Indiana, I firmly believe Paul George would be a Laker right now. Kawhi Leonard still hasn't made a decision yet, so I don't know what Kawhi Leonard really wants. And Anthony Davis, look, he wants to be playing with LeBron James right now. I think there are certainly players that don't want that experience for whatever reason, but I don't think it's a referendum on LeBron James that he struck out in getting guys to pair with him.
If I said to you in this whole Laker public, I mean, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and Tobias Harris all left the Clippers, and we didn't know about it 1 minute before it happened. This Laker AD thing has been front page for 9 days. If I said to you, in this whole TMZ world of LeBron, Lakers, Clutch Sports, Pelicans, Dell Demps, who looks the worst? Who does it really stain on?
I think it blows back most on Clutch Sports and Anthony Davis's representatives. Look, the Pelicans, I don't think they ever were going to make a trade like this before the deadline. They're powerful people, influential people in that organization that for logical reasons wanted to wait for the trade deadline to pass, to see what the lottery shook out, who got the #1 pick, and to see what Boston could offer on July 1st. But I do know from talking to people close to that situation that how this has been handled has rubbed people internally the wrong way. Anthony Davis, they knew that at some point a trade for Anthony Davis was going to become their problem. They assumed that Anthony Davis would just reject their contract extension on July 1st, and that would be a de facto trade demand. They were surprised that Davis came to them and said, I want to be traded before the deadline, 2 weeks before, and they were upset by the fact that this became public. So Anthony Davis will most likely not get what he says he wanted, and that being a trade to the Lakers, and will also look pretty bad. And it was his agents that kind of came up with this idea and pushed it on him.
All right, I'll address that. Chris Mannix, great stuff. Thanks for dropping by and keep busting it because the trade deadline got a few hours left. Thanks, man.
You got it, Colin.
Okay, I got some thoughts on Kevin Durant wanting to be LeBron and why he won't be, and I'll respond to what he just said. That's coming up in LA. It's The Herd.